You, Marissa. Really appreciate those kind words, and congratulations to MBW for this most useful presentation, this most useful webinar. I think MBW, I'm not too sure what it means, but it certainly is the BMW of the energy sector. I think, providing useful information for Guyanese and non-Guyanese across the world. Excellent presentation, Stacy. On exposing Guyana's unique tourism product. I think every visitor, whether business or not, would want to sample uh, Guyana's most unique experience that it offers. With that said, a brief introduction on Guyana Works. It's a career. Guyana Works. Guyana WORX.com is a platform, a technology platform that puts together job seekers, employers, and recruiters in one. We are not a hiring agency. We are not a recruiting company. What we provide is a comfortable, easy to use, and affordable platform for job seekers, employers in Guyana, and recruiters to kind of see what's available, interact with each other, engage with each other, and build and to fulfill your hiring needs, so to speak. The platform was created specifically in response to Guyana's emerging economy. For sure, if Guyana is going to move from a $3 billion economy to a 10, 15, $20 billion economy, much of it will be spearheaded by skilled professionals in Guyana and outside of Guyana. And as you know, within the next 2 to 3 years, Guyana is expected to grow or to add another 50,000 skilled and professional employees, staff in Guyana, meaning they're not going to be coming from Guyana, so to speak, but they'll come from elsewhere, whether it's diaspora, whether it's foreigners that's going into Guyana to work, whether it's Caribbean nationals that are going to Guyana. But we are going to be needing 50,000 skilled professionals in Guyana over the next 2 to 3 years. 50,000 seems like a small number, but when you take it into the Guyana context, it represents about 20% of Guyana's current workforce. And if you look at the number even deeper, it represents more than 50% of skilled and professional persons in Guyana. So 50,000 is definitely a game changer, and it certainly provides a great platform for Guyana to fulfill its mandate towards its economy and to grow. And with that, of course, where do these opportunities come from? We've been hearing quite a lot, and under the new administration, they're talking about, so many jobs to be created and investments and so on. But I think I'll narrow it down into a few areas for sure. And I know MBW is deeply involved in the oil and gas sector. And that is actually one of the areas that will require significant skilled professionals over the next 2 to 3 years. I think the oil and gas industry has just begun, and I think we're into 1 year, maybe into it. But I think over the next 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years, that entire sector is just going to, for lack of a better word, explode. And with it, Guyana will also grow. With the increased talk about local content and getting more Guyanese involved in the oil and gas sector, you can bet that Guyanese companies and Guyanese individuals are going to be creating new companies. And if you're retooling and you're upscaling and you're upgrading your company, it means that you're going to be needing qualified staff. And that's one of the opportunities that Guyanese in the diaspora or foreigners, those that are not Guyanese, that are looking to Guyana as a career destination. That's an area that's definitely growing. There was only recently the launch of the Greater Guyana Initiative, where $100 million will be spent in reskilling Guyanese, sorry, and helping companies to upgrade and so on. So again, there's a lot of things that are happening in that sector specifically that's allowing it to grow, and definitely very attractive as it relates to being a career destination, and of course ultimately looking to relocate in Guyana to be part of that movement. Companies in Guyana, like I said, are retooling. There is the Center for Local Development, which is, I think, an Exxon-funded organization that's providing a platform for companies to engage with each other and to be part of the whole sector and so on. So I think the oil and gas sector for sure provides tremendous opportunities, not only in quote unquote gas jobs, for example, engineering or working on a rig. The oil and gas sector will provide additional spill-off industries, in the area of food and catering, in transportation, in medical, in so many other, finance and insurance. There is so much that's happening. And when we talk oil and gas, we not only talking Exxon and Hess, we talking Exxon, Hess, and a whole lot of Guyanese companies and non-Guyanese companies that are quickly and rapidly entering into Guyana and building their reputation. Of course, if you read the headlines every day, you're noticing how Exxon and these other big companies might be downscaling in other countries to upscale back in Guyana. And I think that is positive, and that is great. So whether you're a Guyanese in the diaspora, whether you're Guyanese in Guyana or in the Caribbean, or whether you're a foreigner looking at Guyana as a destination, I think oil and gas provides a quite a comfortable sector to be seated in, and of course ultimately relocate. Agriculture, I think, will be one big area over the next 10 years, 15, 20 years, I think, for Guyana. Agriculture remains our competitive advantage in the region. We have the skills, we have the land, we've got the right mix to create the growth in that sector. I think the oil and gas sector in itself will stimulate even more innovation and creativity in the agriculture sector. So yes, we've got tons of farmers, and we'll be having a lot more farmers in the near future. But I think agro processing and agro engineering is going to be the high skilled and the prized jobs, or the areas for prized jobs in the near future. So definitely, with the world demand for food growing, and the world demand for the basics like rice and so on, I think Guyana can be a very, very attractive location as it relates to agriculture. And when we say agriculture, we're not saying rice. You kind of plant the rice and you export the rice. We're looking at secondary and tertiary products that the rest of the world needs, and it's also job creation for Guyanese, and it's also high-paying skilled jobs for Guyanese and those who are looking for Guyana to be a career destination. Tourism for sure will be an area that I think will be very, very attractive for skilled professionals. Like Stacy mentioned, the business travelers, it's estimated to about 100,000 over the next 2 years of actual business travelers, and that 100,000, if there were no COVID today, we would have had tremendous amount of problem in the tourism industry. because Guyana is so attractive. We would have had maybe 3 or 4 times the flights that we have today to service Guyana, and those business people coming to Guyana will have nowhere to stay. They will have not enough people to serve them, and those kind of things. So I think not serve but service. Sorry. So I think tourism will definitely be one of those areas that will certainly create higher level of jobs. There's going to be like 10, 15 hotels built or will be completed by next year or whatever. I think that in itself will create 5,000-6,000 jobs at all level, management, in technology and maintenance and so on. But more importantly, I think after COVID, Guyana tourism product will be very, very attractive because of its limited requirement for human interaction. If you're going to book a tour, as Stacey said, to Kaichor or to Oranduke or to a Seven Curry something, you're not among a lot of people. You're going to destinations that are away from cities, and more importantly, tourism in the next few years, people are going to be looking for the outdoors. Most of us, almost all of us, have been in our homes for the past 1 year. When COVID is over, we don't want to be in a home. We don't want to rent a $200 room in Guyana to be in a room. So I think Guyana tourism is set to really take off once the right marketing and branding is in place. I think I'm hearing someone's mic. Infrastructure. I know the current administration is very big on infrastructure. Building a lot of highways, building a lot of bridges, building a lot of IT communications, and so on. So infrastructure will be critical not only for the immediate jobs in infrastructure and its development, but also the spill-off. I mean, the tourism industry right now requires additional infrastructure. Our tourism, while it's very, very attractive, is very hard to get to, and it's very disaggregated. But I think with additional technology and additional infrastructure by the current administration, tourism, I think, is set to take off through infrastructure. So, and infrastructure itself is job creation, and it's business creation, and it's when you open up roadways and you open up highways, cities are born, businesses are created, and dreams are achieved. Then of course and of course I'm not exhausting all opportunities. I'm just highlighting some of the major ones, the bigger buckets, so to speak. Services, I think it's going to be a big area, and I think this is where the diaspora and I think foreigners who are looking to Guyana as a career destination can consider Guyana. Health and medical, with an increased number of business travelers, of tourists, of so many additional people in Guyana, health and medical will be critical. They're not only going to want maintenance health, they're going to want better, almost on par, the kind of health services that are provided in countries they're from. So health and medical, definitely. Guyana population is also expected to grow to almost 1 million in the next 4 to 5 years. So, medical and health are going to be on increase. Technology, more and more technology is being used for business because of innovation and because of new ways of doing things. But of more recently, because of COVID, there is very little need for human interaction sometimes. I'm sure this forum would have been at the Pegasus or at the Marriott Hotel in Guyana if it wasn't for COVID, But because of COVID, we all decided to jump on Zoom and kind of explore opportunities there. Finance is going to be another big area that will be attractive for career seekers in Guyana. Whether it's investment, whether it's insurance, whether it's fund management, whether it's there's the whole finance sector in Guyana, compared to the rest of the Caribbean and even other countries, is somewhat underdeveloped. So I think there's a lot of opportunities, and with an economy moving from 4 billion to maybe 15 billion in a short time, the financial infrastructure and the financial regulations and the financial opportunities and different types of products and so on will definitely be something that's going to grow, and it will only grow with the right skilled professionals who are from the finance industry to be part of that movement. HR and training, and I know MBW is big into this, and I'm glad that MBW is into HR and training. That's going to be probably the maker and the breaker of whether Guyana takes this opportunity of oil and its rebirth, so to speak, and make it into something. Our people at the end of the day has to have the right tools, the right frame of mind, the right environment to ensure that they produce and Guyana grows. So I think HR and training and development definitely is key to all of this. And of course, marketing. And I know much of what MBW does includes marketing and so on. So I think these are some of the areas I believe that are key to Guyana's, are some of the key opportunity areas for anyone who's looking at Guyana as a career destination and looking to really relocate down the line. Can consider, the oil and gas, the agriculture sector, tourism, infrastructure, and services. Of course, like I mentioned throughout my brief presentation, that those who are looking to relocate basically are the diaspora, and very specialized workers in oil and gas sector that Guyanese may not have at the moment, and to a large extent retirees. There's almost 700,000 Guyanese in the diaspora. Almost, I would say, 150 to 200,000 of them are retiring or are close to retiring. And that's a huge economy in itself, where 200,000 can come to Guyana, or let's say 1% or 10% comes to Guyana. That's significant contribution to its economy and a spill off in opportunities that can be created for jobs and so on. So diaspora, specialized oil and gas workers and retirees are definitely some of the key audiences that are looking to consider Guyana. Just before I end, I just want to mention some challenges. In as much as Guyana is tremendously rich with resources and is at the moment on the verge of economic boom, I think there are some challenges that needs to be considered and, of course, discussed and overcome by policymakers and so on. Like the rest of the world, Guyana economy is still a bit, it's staggering, it's slow due to COVID. So I think that is something to see how will the current administration and Guyana, and today's actually budget day, right, for Guyana. So let's see how that budget addresses the reintegration of the economy into the mainstream. Because like the rest of the world, the economy was the first thing that was affected, apart from person health. Remigrants generally are very hesitant about Guyana. Of course, there's the obvious reasons of crime and health, social services, infrastructure, and so on. But specifically as it relates to career, I think remuneration and payment and salaries and so on that might be one of the issues that remigrants might be hesitant about. Of course, those who are highly skilled in specific areas that is demanded by Guyana's economy, I think there is the pay scale is probably on par with the rest of the world, but there is some hesitation as it relates to other areas. I think there's definitely need for a better remigrant benefits regime to be in place to attract more skilled professionals from, especially from the diaspora and across the world. Whether it's tax related, whether it's and if when I say tax related, not only for the remigrant himself, but maybe even the company that's hiring him. So I don't have the answers for these things, but I think this is one of the areas that when you look at India and you look at Israel and you look at Ireland and those countries with very strong remigrant traffic, you see that there is a tremendous advantage to the remigrant as they relocate in terms of what they can benefit from as they relocate. And because at the end of the day, a person relocating to Guyana brings tremendous amount of wealth apart from the skills he brings. He brings other things, that's not only not only can be used immediately, but can certainly be a long-term sort of integration into the workforce. I think the private sector itself in Guyana needs to take a bigger, more prominent, much louder presence as it relates to securing skilled professionals in Guyana. I think the private sector, while they are the engine of growth, and we keep hearing it umpteen times, they somehow I feel that the private sector waits on the government to make a move before they do something. I think the majority of skilled professionals will go to private sector, but I think private sector needs to play their role in advocating for better policies, advocating for more movement, more a better regime, so that they can benefit. The ultimate beneficiary of skilled professionals and those who are planning to relocate would be the private sector. They're the ones who are going to need the higher skilled positions. Government, while they're the largest employer, they're probably at the manager and supervisory level compared to private sector. One of the areas, of course, of challenge would be work culture, and this is where I think private sector also can take a lead, on the processes and the performance of workers and efficiency. I think there's a whole host of issues there that that diaspora is very concerned about, because they come with tremendous amount of skills and experience, and they go into a system that's somewhat not geared towards performance, or is not process driven, or is not efficient enough to ensure that my skills are being used. And you can see that many times. I've had friends who've been to Guyana to do projects and so on, and there's a little bit of frustration. Hopefully, with the opening of Guyana and the growth of the economy, some of these things can be addressed. Of course, the ultimate challenge that Guyana will have will be the competition for our people in other countries. Canada has just mentioned that they're going to grow their population by 1.5 million skilled people within the next 2 years, by 2022. So they're going to be going after our Guyanese in Guyana, and they're going to go after skilled people everywhere. So I think we've got to be cognizant that with that competition, we'll have to up our game, both in terms of how we brand Guyana, how we promote Guyana, and more importantly, how do we ensure that that regime, that relocation, that remigrant regime is robust enough to thwart any sort of competition from other countries. With that, I'm sorry I went very fast. I just want to thank MBW again for this opportunity. I think it's critical that we address the need and the growth. And I think MBW and organizations like yours are very critical in realizing Guyanese's potential. Guyana potential has been around for more than 1 million years. We've never taken advantage of it. Hopefully, with this new, younger group of thinkers and participants in Guyana's economy, I think we've got an opportunity to move forward. Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you, Salaudeen. Yes, definitely. With the current oil boom, there are certainly many opportunities arising throughout the various sectors. And you did talk about